all these things didn't cultivate piety. I mean, a lot of Iranians are still religious, but there's a very big chunk of Iranian society, more on the urban, maybe landscape, that really lost interest in religion, secularized, even became fiercely anti-religious. I mean, Roxana, maybe you might have be familiar with this too. I mean, the Iranian diaspora, among all the diasporas in the Muslim world, includes some of the most infamously anti-Islam people. I mean, because I think people can lose, I mean, respect their faith in a religion, but can be still respectful to it. I know a lot of secular Muslims like that. But I mean, there's hostility, in some uh, people in the Iranian diaspora.
As you've touched on earlier, sort of in your article, in the chapter in the book on Iran, um, the chapter explores what the Islamic Republic means as a social and political experiment in terms of how this religious coercion works in the modern day and what it can teach the broader Muslim world. And one effect that is discussed by Dr. Mashinchian is this sort of inner secularization that occurs, where sort of like the imposition of surface level religious conformity, it remains at the surface and actually produces a discrepancy between what's going on internally for people who are living in that country. And it appears to provide quite interesting empirical data that justifies actually a descriptive interpretation of no compulsion religion by demonstrating that compulsion in religion is in fact impossible. Um, this is a reading that actually was proposed by some early Mutazilite exegetes who interpreted the verse as just a statement of fact that humans could not force others to believe as their innermost selves were inaccessible.
Mhm.
Um, does this reading of the verse make sense in your view, in addition to the sort of prohibitive function that you're advocating for in the book?
Very much so. I mean, yes, Patricia Corona, in her big article on no compulsion and religion, I think it's one of the best studies on the interpretations of the verse, like a 60-page article. She shows all these different, variants of interpretations of La ikraha fi din, no compulsion and religion, and she shows two Mutazilite views which ultimately got combined in the modernist strain and became the more full-fledged interpretation that we argue for. Yes, I mean, Mu'tazilah first of all took it as a statement of fact, like you just can't, this doesn't work, right? I mean, and in Iran, you definitely see that, and I think Iran is now. I've had this conversation with some Sunni, friends. They say, oh, because this is their Shia, they don't have the real Islam. If you have a Sunni Iran, that'll be so good, like, well, let's see what you do with. I mean, whereas I think it's an experiment on religiosity in general. It's in which there's a lesson for Christian integralists or would-be theocrats, I think, as well, which is an interesting trend that has emerged in the West lately. In Iran, you see indeed that religious coercion, which, and in that article, Machine Chan shows many examples of it, right? I mean, headscarf ban is one of those, very famous. Alcohol bans, I mean, which boosted homemade alcohol production and people dying of bootleg alcohol. It didn't stop people from drinking who were going to drink. Or indoctrination in schools and the policy of Gozinesh, if I'm saying it right, I mean, to choose people that are pious, to govern positions, which made people appear pious because that's how you rise up in the bureaucracy, right? So all these things didn't cultivate piety. I mean, a lot of Iranians are still religious, but there's a very big chunk of Iranian society, more on the urban, maybe landscape, that really lost interest in religion, secularized, even became fiercely anti-religious. I mean, Roxana, maybe you might have be familiar with this too. I mean, the Iranian diaspora, among all the diasporas in the Muslim world, includes some of the most infamously anti-Islam people. I mean, because I think people can lose, I mean, respect their faith in a religion, but can be still respectful to it. I know a lot of secular Muslims like that. But I mean, there's hostility, in some uh, people in the Iranian diaspora because I had a conversation with this once, but I got on a taxi in Boston and the driver's name was Muhammad or something like some Muslim name. And I said, "Oh, salam alaikum, brother." And he said, "Alaikum salam, but I don't speak that language anymore." I said, "Oh, okay." He said, Islam killed my family. I said, like, Islam, tortured my father. I said, like, can you tell me? Well, I learned his story, and basically, his father was a member of the Shah government, and when the new regime came, indeed, his father was tortured, killed. I mean, terrible things happened. I mean, what did this was not Islam. It was the Islamic Republic of Iran. But for him, it was the same thing. I mean, because he had that experience. So that experience has, I think, shaped perceptions of Islam in some this among some dissidents, I think, in Iran. And I think that's a huge lesson. I mean, how many failed lessons we must take in failed coercion policies. I think Iran is a great one, as a great lesson, bitter lesson. And I think that chapter by Machine Chian is, I think, a really good one that lays that out. And he shows some wiser Shiite scholars actually warned about this. They said, that's interesting. So that's not the only Shia view. I mean, this was not the only way to go. Even after the Iranian Revolution, it could have been a more democratic future. But no, it became a dominant Islamist regime, which, ended up hurting its own religious tradition.
Yeah, I just want to completely, from my perspective, validate what you said. Unfortunately, in the Iranian diaspora, it's an incredibly toxic diaspora. Um, and uh, and there's a full range of views within it, but unfortunately, the people who are anti-government or anti-regime, who support particularly the monarchist faction, are incredibly antipathic towards Islam. I mean, I'm in London. I live next to one of the biggest Shia mosques in London, and we had Shah supporters outside on Friday prayers, just attacking people coming out of the mosque because the majority of the congregation are Persian. Um, and
Just
and
praying in a Shiite mosque for them was something bad.
yeah, I mean, for them it was a betrayal. They would like be shouting Persian swear words at the Iranians who were coming out of this mosque and physically attacking them because they were saying that you're betraying your nationality by going to this mosque and practicing um, Islam in any way.
Mhm.
So, and this is something that, unfortunately, any Iranian who lives in the diaspora will tell you there is a full spectrum of views within every family. You have the pious Muslim, you have the most anti Muslim person in your family as well. You have everybody's represented, and that's certainly true of my own family as well. But the people who are anti-Islam are beyond anything I've met in the most Islamophobic European. And it is truly something that is very peculiar to Iranians in the current political moment
Yeah.
we're living in,
I mean, I should say
unfortunately.
that I cannot sympathize with those people at all, and I think they should come back to their senses because they are clearly reflecting a fascist mentality.
Hmm.
Um, the only thing I add to that is, well, but also Iranian regime should see how it has a role in the making of this psychology. So it's a vicious cycle, and therefore, I think if Iran hopefully will have a free future, it's not going to come from any of these, intolerant militant movements that wants to say this is our way or the highway. That's the Khomeinist movement or this militant anti-Islamic opposition that you're describing, definitely. Yeah, very
Yeah,
strong.
it's what you talked about earlier about the sort of swing between the sort of secular authoritarianism and religious coercion, political religious coercion. It's the same two extremes represented in one diaspora
Yeah.
that
And
are
one more
constantly
thing.
clashing.
Yeah, we're not the only civilization who's going through these troubles. Look at Europe. I mean, in Europe, the countries where you had the most fierce secular movements were also the places where religion was identified with a very authoritarian establishment. I mean, France. The French Revolution, infamously, I've never been a fan of the French Revolution, infamously anti-clerical. Churches were destroyed, priests were killed. It was an intolerant, fierce, secular movement. Well, because Catholicism was a pillar of the ancien regime, which was an absolute monarchy, which hurt a lot of people. So, compared to that in America, religion generally went in hand with the idea of freedom and separation of church and state. I mean, there were some theocratic experiments in the beginning in Massachusetts, but uh, because there's no established church in the United States, such fierce secularism didn't occur because it was not needed, because religion was not the establishment. I mean, if you create an oppressive establishment, the reaction in the name of religion, the reaction against that will inevitably turn against religion. And if France is a historical case for that, Iran is our modern case today.